Good evening. Welcome to Two Way Tonight. Thank you for joining. It's a Friday night of the holiday season. I continue to take my obligations to the two-way community very seriously. When I miss a night to go look at nationally known Christmas decorations with 20 second graders and miss the program, sort of. I'm here at the Spumoni Gardens, L&B Spumoni Gardens, getting ready after everyone eats their dinner to go see the lights. And again, they're amongst the most extraordinary Christmas lights anywhere, I'd say, in the world, certainly in the United States. They're fantastic. So I'm looking forward to that. And thanks to two-way community member, Christina Golden, who gave me a good tip on her dad's lights, which we'll be stopping by to see later tonight. All right, a little news, and there's not very much. And then Meghan McCain is here, and Lindy Lee, who's a Democratic Party official who's got outspoken views about what's going on with the Democratic Party. She'll join us as well. And as always, we'll be interested in hearing what you think. If you're watching on YouTube, be in the spirit of the season here at the Spumoni Gardens, and peace, love, and understanding. And don't write junk in the chat. And don't write anything in the chat you wouldn't go up and say to one of your kids or your cousin or parent. And if you're here on the two-way platform, amazing. Thank you for finding us. Not everyone has the ability to figure out how to get on the two-way platform right now. We're kind of keeping it a little bit beta-y, but we're glad to have you here. And if you'd like to ask a question, please raise your electronic hand and we'll be getting to you before too long. All right. As I said, a little news. Nancy Pelosi was on a Codell in Luxembourg. Not entirely clear what happened, but she fell. Some reports said a marble staircase, and she's now in the hospital, and that is a cute bunch of kids, Brian. Not sure exactly what her prognosis is or how long she'll be there, but we all wish her a speedy recovery. All right, not much action on the transition front, but Donald Trump today decided to go on Twitter, and he tweeted a couple things, or he technically went on Truth Social, and then the Trump digital apparatus put them on X. So go ahead and put up the Trump tweets, please, and hopefully I'll be able to see them here at the Spumoni Gardens, where there we go. All right, here come the tweets. So, or the truths, as they call them provocatively. Is that up? And I'm missing. There we go. All right. All right. Here's all right. There are two, right? And this is one of them. Put up the other one first. Correct. All right. Put up the other one first, if you would. So in Republican politics in particular, there's this major war that I don't understand about daylight savings time. I don't know if Donald Trump's ever weighed in on this before, but he says the Republican Party will use its best efforts to eliminate daylight savings time, which is a small but strong constituency, but shouldn't. Daylight savings time is inconvenient and very costly to our nation. I don't object to capitalizing nation in this case. I've never understood the passions about this. I get the pros and the cons. I do think it's crazy. Here, no one asked me my opinion. I do think it's crazy to switch. I understand there's a reason for the switch, but just keep the time the way it is. And I never have understood these states that are split by time zone. And Meghan McCain's beloved Arizona does something I've never understood. Maybe Meghan will start with that, and you can explain why your state has its own rules about daylight savings time. All right. Now, the other tweet is on a topic that I'm eager to talk to everybody about because I haven't really followed it. Drone sightings, centered in New Jersey, but now throughout the Northeast, maybe other places. I don't know, because I don't really follow the story that closely. But lots of drone sightings, and the administration is playing it down, but the incoming administration less so. All right. So I love the Trump aide who put the truths on Twitter. I love the way he introed it. Some Friday night thoughts from President-elect Trump. It's like what's that thing with Jack Candy? Deep thoughts with Jack Candy, or from Jack Candy. I don't know. All right, Donald Trump, mystery drone sightings all over the country. Object to that capitalization. Nation, yes. Country, no. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I object to the lack of the question mark. I don't think so. Love the exclamation point. Let the public know, and now. Creative comma use, I'll allow it. Otherwise, shot them down. Again, typo. He's going to be president, folks. Let's have somebody proofread. I believe that's a sick. It should be shoot them down. So big difference. If people always say, if you're talking to some Dutch high school students and they say, what's the difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden? I think no clear difference at this point than their drone position. Joe Biden wants to let the aliens and the North Koreans invade our airspace and pretend it isn't happening. And Donald Trump wants to kill them. All right. I'm joking. I don't really understand the drone story, but maybe others can explain it to me. Mikey's here. He probably shoot down those drones by himself. Um, let's bring in Meghan and Lindy Lee both, please. Welcome, join. Meghan, thanks for joining. How's everything going in the McCain household?
Everything's good. Merry Christmas. I'm
And
not
Merry
at
Christmas
a
to you.
pizza restaurant waiting for Christmas decorations, though.
Oh, well, I
Watch
mean,
that.
what'll be interesting is if the kids finish, I think I'm gonna have them carol for everybody. Although warning, based on the songs they were doing on the party bus to here from Manhattan, I believe they'll be caroling us with Taylor Swift's 22. Not traditionally considered a holiday song. All right, Meghan, I want to ask you about drones, but first I want to introduce and welcome in Lindy Lee. The first time on the program, but incredibly meteoric rise. All of a sudden, many people's favorite Democrat. Lindy Lee, thank you for making time for us. Do you know Meghan?
Oh, absolutely, Megan. I just want to apologize first. I've been critical of you in the past and I was wrong. I just want to say that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice. I don't want to stir it back up. Or were you critical over one particular thing, or just
I
across
think
the
it was just
board?
one, I don't even remember. I think I
Yeah,
was just hopping on the leftist bandwagon, and I'm
yeah.
sorry for that. I'm just going to be very humbly apologize.
It's okay. People always I think people who have daddy issues always tweet nasty things at me and then come to me later on being like, I did therapy and I realized it was just because I wish
Oh,
I had
well,
the
it's not that for me, but
your dad you did.
Yeah,
That's a common thread, but don't
yeah.
worry. Okay.
All right. Well,
And
that's nice. That's nice. Thank you for doing that, and
in
very
the
much the
spirit of Christmas
spirit
or
of
whatever,
and the spirit of the
Hanukkah.
platform. Yeah. Lindy, tell people who don't know why you've been in the news so much lately as a Democrat.
Well, several things, and inadvertently, most recently, I thought I was talking about Doge. That was a question. I was on News Nation, and then they slipped in a question about Pete Hegseth, whom I've worked with. I've been on Fox and Friends, and we also had the same alma mater. I've had interactions with him, and they've all been pleasant. And aren't we a country of second chances? Shouldn't we extend some grace? I'm not going to pre-hate everything about the Trump administration. I'm just not. And I said he was a pretty good guy. And suddenly there were calls for me to resign from my leadership positions at the DNC, for me to be booted out of the party, for me to be fired. I'm not on anyone's payroll, so I don't know where that's coming from. But so yeah, there was just a tremendous amount of outrage because of my very restrained support. I didn't say he was qualified. I didn't say anything else. I just said he was a pretty good guy because we're all Americans, okay? We're all invested in the success of the Trump administration. I'm just simply not going to preemptively hate everything he does.
So,
what can I ask? Why are they
go
calling
ahead.
for you to step down? I don't understand. Like,
Because I
Two
said
pro
that.
headset, two pro headset for the
can that even happen?
jihadists.
Like, it just seems
Yes. Oh,
rushed.
yes.
That's
Or
not
something.
only a thing. I raised millions of dollars for the Harris campaign, not only my money, but also my friends' money. These are $1 million contributions. I donated buildings in a church to the campaign, and I found out after the campaign that she was never ahead. But during the campaign, they were singing a different tune. They told us that she had a good chance we were going to win 3 to 4 battleground states. So the narrative that they were sharing when they were trying to get our money was far different from the narrative that they knew, which is that at best it was a jump ball race.
Lindy, here's something I don't know. I'm really curious about. Um, and I haven't seen all your interviews because you've been doing a lot, but I've done my best to keep up. But I'm still interested in this in more detail than I understand it. So a lot of people on this platform would listen to what you're saying and say, great for you to stand up to the party, and that the things they're criticizing about you and the actions they're taking are not consistent with not just grace in the holiday season, but decency and professionalism. And if a party wants to be a Big Ten party. So what did you think about these issues? And this is my question after that preamble. What did you think of these issues before the so-called Hexeth incident? In other words, have you long seen your own party that way, or did you have some revelation? Because the things you're saying in reaction to what happened to you are things other people, not very many Democrats, but certainly outsiders and Republicans, said are been true about the Democratic Party for a couple decades, and particularly in the last few years. So is this a new revelation for you, or you thought it before and stood silent?
Mark, first of all, I'm really happy to be here. You become part of my nightly routine. I just flip through your tweets, and they're just fascinating. I love them. First of all, I just want to say
Thank
that
you.
before
Very,
I
very
forget.
nice of you. Thank you.
And in answer to your question, I feel like her decisive loss has emancipated me from my silence because I held my tongue for years because I wanted democracy to prevail. Frankly, that was it. But now that she lost, I feel liberated to say things that I have felt for years, which is that the woke progressive, I mean, it's just going to condemn us to the wilderness for the foreseeable future. And the fact that the DNC chair, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The DNC chair, Jamie Harrison, just last week doubled down on identity politics. This is a losing approach, and he's still going full steam ahead. There's no remorse, no introspection. Not to mention the fact, you had Kamala Harris campaign senior advisors on the Pod Save America show, not demonstrating any sort of circumspection or self-analysis, and not taking any responsibility for doing things like spending $2.5 million in production costs, quote unquote, on Oprah, spending millions of dollars on five-star hotels for campaign staffers, putting her face on the Sphere for $450,000 a night. My donors donated anywhere from $10 to $25 of their hard-earned money to $1 million. Some of them paid in installments because it was difficult for them. They believed in the vision of America that Kamala Harris is espousing and democracy. They feel hoodwinked. They are devastated. And it's just, I've been punished for what I've said in the last couple of months. This is the first time actually that I haven't been invited to the White House holiday party or the Naval Observatory. It's a minor backlash, but still, obviously they're not happy with me. And this isn't directed to Kamala Harris as a person. She was a friend, and I'm very sorry, but this is the right thing to do. And I helped to expose that, and it was necessary.
Thank you for saying all that. Let me move away from the show and the professional for just a minute. Meghan and I have both had experiences like you're going through now. Everybody's experience is different, but I can hear in your voice a very familiar sound. And I'm very sorry you're going through this. And I'm very sorry you're going through it for simply trying to help your party understand where you think they're going wrong. It's an added injustice to have it be, ironically, have you targeted for trying to help your party. So I'm very sorry you're going through it. And the only thing I say is I don't think it'll go on forever. I don't think
Honestly,
it won't be
Mark,
like this forever.
it's fine. I can build a kingdom with the hate that they throw at me.
Yeah, that's a great attitude.
Yeah.
Are you outside of this stuff when you think about the party's position on the Affordable Care Act, when you think about the party's positions on reproductive freedom, think about the party's position on the minimum wage, do you agree wholeheartedly with the Democratic Party on all those things?
No, I'm basically a conservative Democrat, which I've always been.
Yeah. So what makes you a Democrat?
I'm an ardent environmentalist. It was even my university thesis is going back decades. I care deeply about the environment. I care about democracy. I escaped communist China. I was born in an authoritarian regime. That matters a lot to me. And thirdly, I care about gun violence. Tomorrow, I don't know if you guys remember, it's the 12th anniversary of Sandy Hook. It's also my birthday. I don't want.
Yeah. So when you say you're a conservative, you're conservative on what? Because you're not conservative by the standards of the party on the environment or on gun rights or gun safety.
Else, I might even be more conservative than conservatives. I'm going to piss a lot of people off by saying this, but yeah, I mean, I grew up as a Christian conservative.
So what makes you, why are you a prominent member of the Democratic Party if it sounds like you disagree with the party more than you agree? I'm not being argumentative. I just want people
Mark,
to understand where you're coming from.
Completely valid question. The salience of those two issues for me are very, very strong. I care deeply about the environment, and unfortunately, President Trump has appointed fracking executives and people who deny climate change to positions of authority. And secondly, I was thinking about your question, and I've been thinking about it a lot. Like, why am I a Democrat? And I realized that I was 16 when I went to college. I got swept up in the Obama mania. It was 2008, and there was no other alternative. I think there were like two conservatives on campus, and they were ostracized.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a possibility for me to be a Republican until recently.
Would you like to see fossil fuels be banned or phased out in the next 5 years?
Phased out. I don't think banning it is feasible. I'm also a pragmatist. We need to be we need to be energy independent, but at that same time, we need to be able to exist as a society.
How do you feel about safe nuclear energy?
I've been thinking, well, 3 Mile Island is just a few hours away from me. So this is a very interesting. I know that Microsoft just like doubled down on investment in nuclear energy. So we'll see. There's a safe way to handle this. Perhaps it's not just either or, right? It's above all strategy. And so I'm open to all sorts of solutions.
Are you to the left of the Biden-Harris administration on environmental issues?
That's a very good question. I'm to the right of the Biden-Harris administration on everything else, probably.
Right, but on that, you agree with them? Like, are you disappointed in their efforts to deal with climate and other environmental issues, or you think they've done a good job? Fine with it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not an extremist by any measure. I think I'm just like Al Gore.
Yeah. Some people would think that was funny. And do you think handguns should be banned?
Oh my God, I'm gonna get myself into so much trouble, man.
Well, trouble with whom? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I've followed what's happened to you. And again, I feel personally bad, but I think a lot of people listen to what you've said, and you've said most of what you said tonight, other places. It's like, she's a Republican. She calls herself a Democrat, but she's basically a Republican. So what do we care about her critique of our party as if it's an inside critique? Again, I'm not taking that position. I just know that's the reaction I've heard from in some quarters. So I'm just trying to sort of give people the fullest sense possible. If you're for banning handguns, that's an interesting position to have, because that's
I haven't actually. I've never said that. I think I would have banned assault weapons. I'm not so much wedded to a particular policy as I'm wedded to a particular outcome. That is, I don't want 5 to 6 year olds being slaughtered in our classrooms.
Yeah.
So whatever policy can get us there, I'm in favor of. I'm not, again, I'm not a lunatic on guns. I'm simply not. I just care about our children. I don't want Uvalde to happen again. I don't want people to go to church and then be mowed down. That is simply what I want.
Yeah, understood. Understood. All right, I've got a few more questions for you. Then I want to see if Meghan has any. And then I want to talk about drones, and then I want to talk to everybody, bring everybody in. Who's the best president of either party since Reagan, including Reagan, and why?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
That is such a good question. Well, Bill Clinton was very strong on the economy.
Who's the best president of that group, and why? Or are you saying the answer is Bill Clinton?
This is not something I've thought about. It's not Obama.
Yeah. It's not Biden. It's not Trump.
It's not Biden. Biden has destroyed his legacy in recent months. And
is it either Bush or either Bush?
Oh, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. What Takes is a very good book.
It is a very good book. I do. It's a great book. So it's got to be Reagan. So Clinton, Reagan.
I think I would lean towards Clinton though, because of Reagan's handling of the economy. I think he's getting more credit than he deserves, with all due respect.
Okay. Do you have a favorite candidate in the DNC race? Chair race?
Oh my gosh, I wish I could tell you the truth. Well, guys, don't tell anyone what I'm about to say. Well, I think, with all due respect, none of the candidates have been particularly exciting. Yeah. And we'll just see what happens. I really think if I were a betting woman, I would say that Democrats are consigned to irrelevance for at least the next 48 years. And obviously, Kamala Harris has ruined it for us women. We're done. Women are going to be sidelined for the next decade in the Democratic Party.
I think maybe just at the presidential level, and maybe not even there, but you think women will be sidelined for Senate and governor?
Oh, I mean DNC chair and the president.
Oh, I see, DNC chair. Oh, it'd be interesting. There aren't any women running so far for chair. If you could pick the Democratic nominee in 28 yourself, who would you pick?
My dear friend, Josh Shapiro. We are very close. He made me a commissioner of Pennsylvania. We've been friends for a very long time. Actually, I'm a bibliophile, and let me show you. When I was running for Congress and I was 24 years old, I showed up 30 minutes late. Josh still let me in, and on his bookshelf was a copy of The Master of the Senate by Robert Caro. And I knew at that instant that he was my people. I just knew we were going to be friends for life.
Lindy, that's a great story. Bob Caro lives in my building. I see him in the elevator. I see him in the elevator all the time.
Have you asked him when he's going to be done with his next book?
You know what? I make it my practice not to ask people who are wearing casts how they got injured, and I make it a practice not to ask Bob when the book's going to be done, because I know everybody else will do that. It's going to be a while. Just to go back to Josh Shapiro, let's the three of us have dinner. Number one. Number two, I see no commitment from you. That's fine.
I would love
two.
that. But Meghan, it's up to you. I love to. It would be an honor.
Okay. All right. Meghan can come too. Meghan's got kids. She's
Oh, you
busy.
mean Josh?
Yeah, me, you, and Josh.
That would be amazing. I've
Yeah, all right, let's
hosted
plan on
Josh twice in
Yeah,
my home.
let's plan on that. And then lastly, if he said to you, Lindy, I want to be ready to run for president 28. What am I not ready for? What do I need to do? What would be one thing you tell him you're not ready on X, or do you think he's 100% ready?
I think his not being picked by Kamala Harris is the best thing that ever happened to him. He was spared the catastrophe that was 2024. I think he's doing great. And frankly, we're kind of laying the groundwork already. I'm helping to build this financial infrastructure, connecting with him with people in San Francisco, for instance.
But is he ready? Is he ready, or does he need to work on anything to be president? Not to be a presidential candidate, to be president.
He's been fantastic. He's been a tremendous executive of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
When we had the I-95 collapse,
I know he fixed it in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. He's just fantastic.
All right, I'm gonna ask you. I'll ask you that over dinner. Meghan, come on back. Thank you, Meghan. I know you're a people person interested in all things, and Lindy's really interesting. Do you want to colloquy with Lindy at all, or ask her anything?
People are asking in the chat, who are you scared of offending? And I'm curious about the same thing. Do you think they would actually like remove you from your position at the DNC if you are too critical? What are you the most worried about?
Well, people have already, I don't really think they can. They don't have the capacity. And truth be told, I have tremendous leverage. I'm probably the single biggest Asian American campaign bundler they have. And I'm the youngest member of the National Finance Committee as well. I've just been abused a lot in the last couple of days. I essentially stopped tweeting for the first time in recent life. I'm just done for a little while. I'm going to be on Fox and Friends tomorrow, and I'm sure I'm going to inadvertently drop several bombs. Tune in, 8 o'clock. We'll just see. But Meghan, you've been attacked relentlessly. You know how it is. It's
the first flush is the hardest. The first you're in it. I agree with.
But the same thing happens to me. I went to war with the Bernie Bros in 2020. So I'm used to it, but also I just don't want to deal with it anymore. It's just they're
gonna lose people like you if they keep doing it, though. It's weird. They really eat their own. Even like with my history with Trump, MAGA people are still very respectful to me, and I have a lot of friends working in the administration, and there's not this acrimonious relationship between, like, people still know I'm a lifelong conservative and respect that. And it's weird to me to see Democrats being so ugly. I saw an interview where you said he raised like $8 million. I mean, it's an exorbitant amount of money, and to disrespect a woman who's done so much in this way seems like the reason why they're losing. Thank
you for saying that. That means a lot.
So bizarre. I don't understand, and it's very cruel.
It hurts her soul almost, because the party of diversity is all of a sudden hurling racist invective, accusing me of being a spy, even though the communist regime killed my family. They killed my great-grandfather. That's why we fled to England. And I don't deign to respond to anyone I never respond to people on social media, but it's just like, it's fine. I'm actually used to it. It's whatever. I can build bricks with it. But I mean, it's Meghan, to answer your question, I'm just trying to stop the abuse.
What do you think happened next?
Meghan, I'm sorry, hold on one second. That's the exact question I want you to ask, so I'm delighted, but stand by. Some of you cannot hear Meghan's audio loudly. Most of us can. It's not your fault, Meghan, because I hear you fine. You sound just like everybody else. We've had this before. There's some special McCain audio issue that we have not solved for just a handful of you. So we're sorry for that handful. Maybe crank your speaker tonight. We're still working on it. Yes, you're going to see 1,000 people in the chat. No, Meghan, it's not you. You're seeing, as I knew we would, 1,000 people in the chat saying, I hear her fine. I hear her fine. I hear her fine. There's just some weird thing where some people don't hear you very well, and they think they speak for all of us. I love minority rights. Those of you who can't hear Meghan, we're trying to fix it, I promise, but it's not a general problem for all people on this platform. Most of whom, if I took a plebiscite, they hear Meghan just fine. So we're sorry for that weird handful. You're not weird. The people who are weirdly being affected, please stand by, turn your speaker up. Meghan, please ask the exact question you were asking. Thank you.
So I think I know a lot of people who were former Democrats that have sort of deflected because of things like this. Could you see that happening to you, or do you think
leaving the party?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we weren't online right now, I'd tell you guys what I'm doing.
Okay.
But I'm in talks with
Yeah.
people.
Okay.
But I refuse to go down with the ship. They can engage in their woke whatever for the next decade or so. I'm just simply not going to be there with them. They can do whatever they want. I'm not going to hop on the I'm just not. So
I want to move. I want to move to drones when you two are done. But do you two have anything else you'd like to discuss? We'll come back to all these issues when we start taking questions. But do you two have anything else you want to discuss?
no, I'm just really happy and grateful to be here. Meghan, thank you for your graciousness. And Mark, you're brilliant. You're brilliant. You really are.
You're very nice.
Yeah,
My mother totally agrees. Thank you.
Mark is the best, but I feel bad for you. I really do. I think
Horrible.
it's very hard
Horrible.
to go through this type of thing, and I think it's gross, and I don't understand why people behave this way. And everything you're saying is the things that any rational person is saying about the party, and they should listen to you.
and also I think I occupy a very unique position in that I'm a naturalized American.
Yeah.
And I've been saying we have to get serious on immigration. My family and I waited years in England. We followed the rules. We waited in line. We didn't take any handouts. We came and we built an amazing, amazing life. And this is the way it should be done. People shouldn't be storming the southern border. And now they're calling me a racist for saying that.
I will say one thing, Lindy, is that Republicans love ex-Democrats. We love them. Look at my friend Tulsi. If you want to come over, the water's fine. You will be welcomed. We're not like that. It is a big difference between our party and theirs is that we welcome. If you're a Democrat 5 minutes ago and you want to come with us, like
Meghan, I know the RNC, Crosby has already reached out to me and other people as well. So I feel very welcome.
I'll host your party if you switch over. Like,
Thank you. Thank you.
I love ex-Democrats seeing the light. It's my favorite thing.
There are those who say elephants are cuter than donkeys, so would have that going for you. All right, drones, ladies. I think this story is like a nightmare because it's just such conspiracy theories. And now that you have Donald Trump wanting to shoot them down and Joe Biden's administration saying these are just commercial aircraft. Do you have a point of view on drones? I don't mean drones in general. I mean, what's going on with this
I just
drone
don't really
matter?
believe anything this administration is saying anymore. I'm sorry. I mean, they've lost all their credibility, and I'm deeply, deeply sorry to say that. As it cuts my heart to say that because President Biden has been very good to me and my family, but they lied about his cognitive status. They lied about Hunter Biden's pardon. They may have lied about Havana syndrome. Now they're saying that's possibly perpetrated by a foreign adversary. We don't know yet. They lied about how the COVID lab leak isn't real. Now we're hearing that it might be real. So I just don't know. Do I sound like a conspiracist? I'm just withholding my judgment.
Yeah.
I don't believe everything they say.
Yeah. If the drones are if there's something wrong with them, do you think that it's like the Russians or the Chinese? Like, what would be the explanation that would not be innocent?
I just want to say whatever the United States needs me to do on China, if they need me to speak out against China, if they want me to do anything, I will. So I'm just putting it out there.
Okay. All right. Meghan, what do you think of the drones?
There's a place in Las Vegas where you can go to where you can shoot anything, including drones, out of the sky with an AR-15. And I suggest everyone does it because I think this is some kind of spy thing or
you do.
Real too. I do. I think it's too weird. And it's freaking me out. My friend Harris Faulkner, who works at Fox, who may be interviewing you tomorrow, Lindy, I don't know, is tweeting about it in her neighborhood right this moment. And it's very scary. And I'm petrified. I'm like totally concerned and weirded out by it. But I'm a conspiracy theorist and I also love horror movies. So I find it very, and I agree with you, like, why isn't there a rational explanation?
Yeah, but I mean, I hate the fact that the government. I'm on the move to the party bus, so pardon me. I hate the fact that the government, like, would be. I mean, if they're so definitive now, like they're trying to convince people there's nothing here, and it just I don't know. It's just I don't like it. There's almost no outcome I like because now it's all become a conspiracy theory. All right, last topic I want to talk to you both about is. I wrote this morning in my newsletter, Donald Trump's on a pretty big roll here. It doesn't mean he's going to be successful when he takes office, but there are lots going on. Everybody knows what they are. That seems like he's doing very well. I just want to know, do you both see to the extent you think the transition's going well, this last week went well, do you see things he's doing here now and his team are doing that you think would help make him a successful president?
Oh, for
Meg,
sure. I think he's,
yeah,
oh,
good.
sorry, did
Good.
I?
No, you go first.
I
You go first.
something?
Then Megan. You go first.
I've
Please.
been seriously impressed by the way that everything's going. Megan, I don't know if you feel the same, but he's exceeded my expectations. He's exude, he's become the executive in more or less. Biden, it's embarrassing how much Biden has receded into oblivion. He's basically become the lamest of ducks. It's just embarrassing at how, Trump is already going overseas to present himself as emissary of the United States. It's been very well handled, I think. And the entire nation is fascinated by his transition. And other than Matt Gaetz, it's been going pretty well. Pete Hegseth has even resurrected himself. So,
Megan.
I mean, I think I agree. Oh, sounds like fun over there, Mark.
I'll give you a little live look.
Oh my gosh, that looks horrible.
Yeah.
I think for me, just it's fun being a Republican right now. It's fun being a Republican for a long time. It's fun being someone who was anti-woke for a long time because all of a sudden we're the cool kids. This has never happened to me before in my life. All of a sudden, like, Democrats are the party of like censorship and being repressed and being uptight in the HR department, and just culturally Trump's rise right now for me has been very fun, just in social circles, at Christmas parties, like in my life on social media. I've had people reaching out to me for a long time. Like you said, Lindy, like, I was really hard on you. I was awful to you. You were right. I'm sorry. You're right. I love this moment.
But do you think I take all that and it's interesting. Do you see in this the prospect that he's going to be able to be an effective president? Or, I mean, Lindy said that, but do you think that? Because you're a relatively strong student of his foibles. Does this seem like he'll be better at being president?
When you govern, governing is messy, like Dan said this morning. There will be things that he will do that I won't like. It's inevitable. But in this moment of like period of time between election and inauguration, it's been a rough, 8 years. It's been a rough time. I think during the like height of cancel culture and the height of like, there's a lot of things. Like, I was very scared 4 years ago when I came out against now, like 80% of the American public agrees with me. I'm enjoying the time, and I'm never gonna be like Trump's biggest fan for all the personal reasons, but the people around him and a lot of my friends who are working for him, I have a lot of faith in.
You know how much love and affection I have for the two-way community, right? A lot of respect, etc. Yeah. I knew this was going to happen as soon as I mentioned your audio. Of course, several people have put in the chat instructions about how to fix the audio. The audio is not broken. Don't tell us how to fix it. No, I'm telling you, it's not broken to you. There's a weird thing. It's like people using some browser. I don't know what it is, but there's no comprehensive need to fix Megan's audio. I promise you. And I can tell you that because I hear her fine. All right, Noah, let's open it up for questions. Again, as always, tell us where you are, what's on your mind, your favorite Taylor Swift Christmas song, whatever you'd like to discuss. Bring it on.
Haley, do you want to start?
Sure.
Haley, welcome. Thanks for joining. This is Lindy and Megan. Both have a litter of names.
First of all, I'm like, it's wild that I get to talk to Meghan McCain. I'm such a huge fan. It's so weird and creepy. But just want to say, first of all, because of that, Meghan, like, thank you for all you do speaking out for Israel. I'm Israeli American. It's a huge deal for me. I've known soldiers who've died in this war, so very thank you. I basically just wanted to, like, because last time I listened, you were talking about women in the Republican Party and how basically how they're like turning you off. And I feel the exact same way, which is why I didn't vote for Trump, because I felt like there was a lot of not anti-women, but just it was way too bro-y, this campaign for me. And especially like the last couple of weeks were a little like just too much. So I just wanted to know, like, if you see any indication that maybe they're trying to reach out to women like a little bit more, just because I want to be in the tent with their, like, I want to feel exactly what everyone's feeling with Trump. And I do feel policy-wise and things like that, but just like the vibe of the party is way too, like, just try. That's all I wanted to
Great question. Megan first, and then I'd love for both of you to address
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Well, this was, I think, probably during the childless cat lady comment, and I still don't like it, and I still think it's reductive. And we talked at length about, Mark and I both knowing women who desperately wanted to become mothers. I've had fertility. Like, I think it's just a counterintuitive talking point. And it ended up being very hurtful to a lot of people I know. I still think that this is the tricky part for Republicans because this is incredibly bro-y. I'm friends with women who are working for him, so it's a little bit like different for me because I can see their perspective. But I would love to see you know, like just women being talked about in an entirely different way. The trad wife stuff freaks me out. But when it comes to policy issues, I feel just much more confident in Trump's policies than I do. Again, like what I just brought up, like it's a big deal for a lot of people. I'm friends with Riley Gaines, like making it law that biological men cannot compete in women's sports. I have two young daughters. My oldest daughter, excuse me, is a swimmer. Is a very important issue for me. He said he's going to do it on day one. So for me, like that's something that's very pro-woman.
Huge issue for me too. That's why I'm way more onto the Republican side when it comes to culture war, all these issues. I just feel like there's a vibe that needs to happen. Like the Democrats needed, to get the men, and I just feel like each party needs something from each other. Like,
Yeah. Lindy, what's your view of all this?
Oh, Megan, you bring up such a good point. And why is it such a third rail? Why is it so difficult for Democrats to say that men shouldn't be in women's sports? Why is it a bigoted thing to say? It's ridiculous. 10 years ago, it was acceptable. It was conventional wisdom. It was like common sense. And now all of a sudden, it's just prohibitive. You can't say it at all. But here I am, and I'm probably going to get canceled again. But it's just the truth. And I'm so glad that Republicans are strong on that issue. And something that Kellyanne Conway said the other day was actually very interesting. Democrats talk as though we only matter from our waist down, but Trump talks as though we matter from our waist up. Like he appeals to our hearts and minds as well. And I think Kamala Harris at the very end was focused so singularly on reproductive rights to the exclusion of all else, essentially. She spent an entire day in Texas at the Beyonce concert. By the way, that was another major fail. You can't bring out Beyonce twice. Or, I mean, at the DNC, they promised Beyonce couldn't deliver. And then in Texas, they promised Beyonce and she didn't sing. Who do you think all those tens of thousands of people came for? They didn't come for Kamala Harris. They came for Beyonce. And so, I mean, that was just awful. But she focused so much on reproductive rights, not realizing that Americans right now, the two primary things that we care about are prices and immigration. Those are the two overarching issues. And if Trump can succeed on those two fronts, I think he'll have a successful presidency, which means, of course, not to follow through on his tariff threat.
Thank you. Haley, thank you. Noah, next question, please.
How about Paolo?
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I just want to bring, and this is the question is directly to Lindy. Just want to bring a subject. I was born in a fascist regime. My parents spent the majority of their adulthood under fascist regime. The stories at our table was about how they were being targeted by the political police. One of the things that I have heard many people accusing Trump is being a fascist. For someone like me that was born in a fascist regime, I fully understand what being a fascist means. And there's nothing that Trump has done today. And I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. Indeed, I'm not affiliated with any party, and I will keep being that way. But there's nothing that Trump has done that I can even connect to the idea what being and living in a fascist regime is all about. And it's very interesting because Lindy was also talking about it, saying that, your family through a communist regime. And there's not too much of a difference between a communist regime and a fascist regime. At the end of the day, the extremes touch themselves and they work together, and there are very similarities about it. So for me, the whole issue of this election is that I just can't stand, and the question comes out from this, that the agencies of the government try to persecute a political opponent without having a solid, very solid case against the political opponent. It's just not possible. So when the Democrats spend the majority of the time calling Donald Trump a fascist. How does someone like you, Lindy, that know what being a communist, what a communist regime means, and what the persecution comes out of a communist regime, feel about that message? That was my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I thought the whole thing was overblown and frankly ridiculous. It was like the boy who cried wolf. You cry fascist so many times, people start tuning you out. Likewise on the racist and calling people sexist. Once you do so on a daily, hourly basis, people just don't take you seriously anymore. And similarly, when Kamala Harris called Trump, essentially agreed that Trump was a fascist during a CNN town hall with Anderson Cooper, that was a tremendous mistake. It was almost as bad when she said she couldn't think of a single thing that she would have done differently from the Biden administration. I mean, I ask myself, like, how can anyone be so inept at interviews? Like, why is it so hard? Aren't you just talking to someone? Why can't you just answer the stupid question? Like, aren't we doing that right now? Why is it so hard to just be a genuine human being and to be viscerally real? Why is it hard, Meghan? Why couldn't she do it?
I think it's the people that that were advising her. The same people that really hurt Hillary a lot. I don't want to name names and be cruel, but none of them should work in politics anymore. And I watched that. I don't know if any of you watched that Pod Save America episode with the.
None of them should have jobs in politics anymore. It was political malpractice. I don't want to name names either, but we all know who I'm talking about, right? I mean, it's not just the Clinton people, though. It's the Obama people.
Yes.
And the Obama people who wined and dined us. I've had many interactions with them, and they told us that she was going to win. They promised us to win. But going back to your question, sir, sorry about that. I just think it was a poor, not only is it not true, it's also just poor political strategy because the swing voters that you're trying to go after, they're not going to buy that stuff. They're simply not. They look at their pocketbooks, they realize, oh, it's just been terrible under the Biden-Harris administration, unfortunately. And that's what people care about, not theoretical questions about fascism. That just doesn't resonate with folks.
Meghan, anything you want to add?
No, I just think when you hear people like Lindy's story of people who've escaped real communism and come here for the American dream, I agree that people are intelligent and they know the difference. Not was proven in the last election.
Yeah, getting shot in the middle of the street, that's fascism. That's what happened, to my family. This isn't whatever this, mean tweets aren't fascism, to be very clear.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for the question, sir. Noah, next. I think there's one person who said they got a question for Lindy.
Yes, that would be SP.
SP.
Yeah.
SP, welcome in. Tell us where you are and what's on your mind.
Hi, my name's Sarah, and I grew up in Arizona, but now I live in Manhattan. First, I want to say thanks to all of you, Mark for the show, and Meghan and Lindy for being here.
Thank you.
I have two questions. I'll be brief. Lindy, my question. Also, can you hear me? I've been told my AirPods are.
I can hear you fine.
Yeah,
okay. I've been told my AirPods are old and no one can hear me, but
unlike
Lindy,
Meghan, everybody can hear you.
No, my AirPods are old, to be fair, should be replaced. But Lindy, I admire you for coming on here and, in fear potentially of being canceled. But my question for you is, you mentioned, to me as a voter, I'm not a political insider. It was clear to me that, there was a lot of misrepresentation and conspiracy about Biden's state of mind and Harris as a viable candidate. But to hear you say, as sort of part of the machine and the party, that they also lied to you about her viability as a candidate is kind of shocking. I mean, it's not shocking, but yes, a little bit shocking. And I'm curious to hear more about sort of how they represented that information to you in a way that was persuasive to continue.
Yeah.
The idea that she was a viable candidate who could win, who you should solicit donations for. And then my question for all three of you is, this came up, I think, in the beginning, but if all three of you, and if you could pick a female candidate for 2028 of any party, who would you pick?
Mark, how should we answer?
Hold on. Yeah, sorry. when you just to clarify on your second question, do you mean just make them president or make them the nominee of a party and have to win the election? Nominate in either party or one of the two parties.
Either party, whoever you think would be best positioned
to win
in the next election.
Just to be clear, you're not asking what woman would make the best president. You're asking what woman would make the best presidential candidate to win a general election, right?
Yes, and the next election.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all three of us will answer that, or at least I will. But Lindy, why don't you first, and then Meghan address the first question, if you will.
Well, I have two anecdotes that I've never shared on air, and I think they're very eye-opening. Number one, on July 21st, I was on Fox News Sunday, and the night before, I got a call from the White House. I feel like I'm saying this right now because, frankly, are we allowed to curse on here? But I don't give a blank. Okay.
Yeah, you can.
This is what happened.
Curse. We're pro-cursing if it expresses your emotions best. So feel free.
At this point, I've been liberated. So this is the truth, guys. So I was supposed to appear with Shannon Bream on July 21st. On July 20th, I got a call from the White House saying stuff like, we know that you're the president's most loyal supporter. We know you're going to stay loyal. I don't know if you remember what was happening around the time, but people were clamoring for him to step down. Gosh. I was like, oh my God. And I remember
wait. Jill called you.
No, it was a staffer, and I don't want to name.
You don't want to say. All right.
It was a female White House official.
Were initials JOD?
No, it wasn't her. It wasn't her.
Okay, sorry.
She was on the campaign at the time.
Yeah.
This is a White House official.
I was joking around trying to get you to tell us. That's all.
Anyway, I was very disturbed by that call because I felt like someone was trying
campaign.
What did you say?
It felt like a pressure campaign.
Oh, absolutely. I felt like it was a Tony Soprano move by saying, we know you stay loyal.
Yeah, that's a very nice position you have there. It would be a shame if you...
Exactly. Yeah. But if you know anything about me, I'm not a lot of things, but I'm fearless. I do what I think is right. So I told the truth on July 24th with Shannon Bream. I said, President Biden should step down. So I bucked what I was told the night before. Immediately after my interview, I got a slew of angry phone calls from the White House that I didn't pick up. I don't know what they would have said, but I'm guessing they were pissed off. That's anecdote number one. So I was pressured to say something on air that wasn't true. I can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah, that's what happened. Number two,
I don't want to get you in trouble, but
what did you say?
I said I don't want to get you in trouble.
Well, they're gonna leave power in a couple more weeks. What are they gonna do to me? Not invite me to the Christmas party again?
No, I know. From the outside, it seemed obvious that he was a bad candidate. So to hear that on the inside, you were also getting fed this sort of...
Well, that was for Biden. They wanted me to cover for him in July.
Yeah.
But I have a second anecdote. 2 weeks before the campaign, we did a donor dinner right down the street in the Ritz-Carlton in Philadelphia. They told us that we were about to win 3 to 4 battleground states. This is the middle of October, okay? My dear friend, this has nothing to do with Josh Shapiro, but he was a keynote speaker. He was great. I'm talking about the campaign staffers that were speaking that night. And some of them were on Pod Save America. It's the same folks. They were very sure of themselves. They said, this is the time.
Which states did they win? Say.
Which day?
Which states did they say?
Oh, they didn't say, but they said that Pennsylvania was looking good. I remember that because for me, as a lifelong Pennsylvania was not looking good to me.
Were they
another thing. I realized this after the campaign. I tweeted that I donated several buildings to the campaign. I tweeted an email, a thank you email that I got from the campaign. And in that email, the building was in South Philadelphia. I'm sorry, folks.
We're in Philly. I'm curious because I went to school there. So,
where do I live?
No, we're in Philly.
The building was in South. Do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
It said this is the first office in South Philly. This was October 23rd. And I'm like, holy crap, where were you guys for the past year?
You waited that long, yeah.
You waited that long? And had I not donated the building, you wouldn't have a presence there? And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, I really hope they know what they're doing. Obviously they didn't, but Yeah. So
in that meeting, were they citing polls or numbers, or were they just saying we just have a feeling that we're going to win?
well, they were the underlying assumption that it was backed up by empirical data that
But they
we
didn't
were not
provide the
privy to,
data.
internal polls
Right,
that they were not
okay.
privy. You got to remember that these donors, for example, we had to see the founder of Zillow there. It was people, these are like hard-nosed business people. So we are looking at like P&Ls and strategy. That is what convinces big donors. And they were basically selling us a false bag of goods. I have no other way of saying this.
No, that's my question, because as a voter, I only have access to the polls that are released to the public, but I know that there are polls that are internal that are not released. So that sort of
And frankly,
was
they
my
were
question.
worse. Yeah, that's a really good question, because now they're admitting that their internal polls are far worse than those in the public, and she was never in the lead.
Know that when I'm voting, because they're not public, right? So
yeah.
Thank you for all that. All right, let's do the other question here. Meghan, what woman of either party would have the best chance to win the presidency? Not govern well, but win.
Tulsi or Katie Britt.
Tulsi or Katie Britt. All right, Lindy, who do you think?
Well, on the Democratic side, I think women are done for at least the next 1 or 2 cycles, just because Hillary and Kamala, I mean, didn't fare well. Kamala Harris seems to think that she can still run a viable candidacy. I think she's done. I think, unfortunately or fortunately, Biden and Harris are toxic assets.
But all right, so do you see? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Gretchen Whitmer, I think, has the best chance of anybody. I'm not saying it's going to be her, but I think she has the best chance of any female on the Democratic side.
Okay. All right, I'll go with Gina Raimondo running as a Republican.
Oh, wow.
That's the person who'd have the best chance. All right, thank you for those questions. Appreciate it. Please come back regularly. Noah, somebody else.
How about John Carroll, who has a question for Lindy?
John, come on in. Welcome. Tell us where you are. What's on your mind?
Thank you, sir. I'm over here. I live in the Tampa Bay area here in Florida. Listening to some of the other callers, just quickly saying, I don't know how if Meghan's able to comment that on like in other parts of the country, but I could say to Lindy and the other people calling in, here in Florida, women tend to do very well within the Republican Party. We have a lot of county RECs where the leadership or somewhere in the leadership are a lot of women, a lot of state reps, legislators, and et cetera. So I know down here they're pretty powerful. And I know, Lindy, you mentioned about the environment being a big thing. Remember, Florida Republicans were the ones that worked to ban fracking over in the Gulf of Mexico. So we take it to heart. Some people it's for tourism and business side. Some people it's because they do feel that way. I don't want to see another BP oil spill myself personally. So, just let you know, Florida Republicans are big about it too.
Thank you.
So I had a number of questions. I guess this is for all of y'all, but especially for you, Lindy, being, from the DNC. I've seen a couple of things about this, not too much, but I wouldn't put it past because, President Trump now is the second person to win the presidency a second non-consecutive time after Grover Cleveland, which I'll give y'all credit. He was a Democrat, so you guys are the trendsetters. But I was curious. I feel like from what I see, Kamala, she's going to want to make her comeback. I know you said you feel like she's done, but there are reports that maybe she might consider pulling a Richard Nixon 1962 and try to go for the governor's race in California and rebrand herself. There's and I'll end it from here, but there's a lot of people looking at running. Do you think she's going to try to make a comeback in her home state?
That's John, is your name, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Such a pleasure to speak with you. I have a tidbit that people may not know about that governor's race. So the current front runner is a woman named Eleni. I'm sorry, I'm not going to attempt her last name. She's a very long last name, but she is the current lieutenant governor and she's a front runner. What people don't know is that she's extremely close to Kamala Harris. Her cousin is a woman named Kristen Bertolino Faust, and Kristen Faust was Kamala Harris's finance chair for this campaign. So for Kamala Harris to run in that race would mean backstabbing a decades-long friend. I'm not saying that she wouldn't. I just want people to know that is a consideration. In addition to the timing, which is just awful, because if you run for governor and then she wants to be president, it would be 2026 and then 2028. But there is a personal human component involved in this. And Eleni has been working towards this for years. And not only that, Nancy Pelosi, who is always a force in California politics, really loves Eleni. So we'll just see whether for Kamala Harris, her ambition will trump friendship.
Put me on the spot on that one, because that could be a huge thing.
John, hold on. John, hold on, because I want to get Meghan. I want to get Meghan in here, and then try to get somebody else in. But thank you. That Meghan, do you think Kamala Harris's political career is over?
Yeah, when you have the stench of loss on you, and I know what I'm talking about, you really got to move on, and she's got to shake it off. She could possibly run for governor of California. I don't know California politics well enough, but I think that this era of all of this, the Obama people in general, like, and also a friend of mine who is a Democrat was asking me one of the biggest problems, and I was like, politics is also about who you are as a personality, also aside from politics. And Democrats, from not you, Lindy, you're perfect, you're wonderful, but Democrats have an image problem of being joyless and tense. And again, the HR department, like, you say something wrong and you're going to be in trouble and you're going to be canceled. And I just think finding a person who doesn't present that image is going to be so important going forward. And look, I love John Fetterman. Like, there's Democrats I really like, Josh Shapiro as well. There are people on the left that I really think have great opportunities going forward. I just think, for whatever reason, Democrats seem to think that the Obama era is still something that matters. And it, respectfully to them, they are billionaire Hollywood producers now. It doesn't have the clout with voters that it once did. So I just think finding someone who is joyful and not so uptight would be like the starting place I would start from.
Lindy, what's your Tom? Thank you. John, thank you. Lindy, what's your best case scenario for the short-term future of the party, of something that could realistically happen?
Oh, yikes. Well, I want to tell you now, having been to holiday parties in DC, people are pissed. And just echoing what Meghan said, you're totally right. People are pissed at Obama. There are people who are now multimillionaires as a result of the Harris campaign, and we know exactly who they are. And I just want to say that $500 million in advertising went to just 4 well-connected Democratic firms. This whole thing is deeply incestuous, and one of the firms is Bully Pulpit. They made bank. We were advertising in Florida, where we had no chance of winning simply because of the advertising fees. This is a boondoggle. And I'm wondering if they asked us for millions of dollars. Remember how I told you about the dinner? Were they asking us for money 2 weeks before they knew they were going to lose? Because they realized for the next 4 to 8 years, it was never going to come again. And they wanted to milk us for as much money as possible. I mean, that was a consideration. If they knew that they were headed towards defeat, did they just want to like eke out every single dollar they could out of the donors, knowing that we wouldn't be writing any checks after election day? So it's just big donors are burnt. I don't know what you're going to do. The party is in very bad shape.
Meghan, I want to ask you a question we talked about this morning on the morning meeting. It's just, who do you see from the Democratic side, maybe besides Lindy, I'll salute her, who you think is doing smart things since the election?
John Fetterman, you, Lindy, anyone who's just sort of rational, who's like seeing the moment. Dan, obviously, who's in this moment and is like, we have to make change, and there are leaders that can do it. I honestly believe until Nancy Pelosi and the Obamas let go of their stranglehold of the party, it cannot happen. And to me, it's deeply selfish that Nancy Pelosi at 84 doesn't see the damage. The anger of my friends really is at Nancy Pelosi and President Obama, my friends on the left. And I just think there has to be wholehearted shift. There has to be generational change. It's not fair to people like Lindy and people who have, like you said, given millions of dollars, and even average American Democrats who feel lied to. Like, at a certain point, I think that's part of the problem. There's not a lot of like uproot growth of younger people in the party. And Lindy, you look very young. I don't know, but like, people like her should be running for office. There should be lots of different diversity within the party, and it doesn't seem like it is as much. But I also temper Republicans should never get out over their skis. We can screw anything up easily. Like, we could do it in 6 months. So let's all keep it, within the realm of calm. But They should just listen to you, Lindy. Everything you're saying is
Oh,
accurate.
they're not going to, but thank you for your
They
kindness.
should. It's their loss and will be their undoing if they don't listen to people like you. It's gross. And like you said, you said you're the most powerful Asian woman in the DNC. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why isn't that a voice that is significant? You raise all this money, but the second that they have this catastrophic loss, all of a sudden your opinion is irrelevant. I mean, it's just ignorance. And
But I also want to, you have a really good point, but I also want to point out that there's a difference between the random Twitter people and also the DNC leadership. It's been a month and a half now, and I just want people to realize that not a single important Democrat has contradicted what I've said. Number one, because I'm right and the data supports everything. I mean, it's just the truth. So what are you going to say? And number two, they don't want to lose me entirely. So there's a difference between the randos on Twitter and the rank and file and Democratic officials. I've gotten texts from senators and members of Congress who don't feel comfortable saying what I'm saying because they're interested in their self-preservation, but they want me to keep going.
good.
But it's just
Thank you for that.
we are not
Is there
usually-
anything either of you want to say before we close that we didn't cover?
Just that it's been a pleasure speaking to all of you tonight. And Lindy, like I said, I really hope you continue speaking out. And if you know, whatever your future is, I think it's powerful. And don't let anyone people are just trying to come after you because they're threatened by someone being so strong in their convictions. And those people are going to go by the wayside very quickly. I mean, you know, respectfully, like AOC is a very significant person in the media on the cover of Vanity Fair and Vogue, going to, like, you know, the White House or the Anna Wintour big Met Ball. No one cares what she has to say right now. Like, she had to do like Instagram lives asking her constituents why they voted for Trump. It's kind of pathetic. So I just think, you know, people like you are the future and they should listen to you. And if not, you're welcome to come to any Republican, anything at any time. You were like, I don't know what my future is. And I was like, your future is probably speaking at the RNC in 4 years, but I'm not.
Yeah, again, this is the first time I'm going to say it. I was invited to Mar-a-Lago.
You should go. I'm serious. You should just, you know.
I got an invitation to the inauguration as well. We'll see what happens.
I'll see you at the RNC speaking stage in 28. Watch Mark, listen to me, all of you. That's my prediction.
You did prediction. Thank you both, Meghan. Thank you for making time to come back as always. And Lindy, thank you for coming. I hope you'll come back regularly.
Mark, your tweets give me life. I am so happy to see you just thriving and crushing it. I was texting somebody else. You are just killing it out there. I'm proud of you. Meghan, I'm so glad I got a chance to like connect with you you are just a gem. You're a national treasure. Please keep shining.
Thank you. Go to Mar-a-Lago. Meet with everybody.
Yeah, go to Mar-a-Lago. Wear a wire. Send me the tapes. Thank you. Thank you both for making time. I'm going to show you guys a little of the Diker Heights Christmas lights here. So Noah, take me full if you can.
It's beautiful.
So this house is like literally, like, I don't mean to disrespect these people, but this is like not the top 50% of some of the things around here. This happens to be the one I'm standing at. You should see from down there, but here you can see up the street here, and you can see the houses themselves are kind of incredible. Super nice houses, and you know, it's a typical Christmas decorations. You've got religious symbolism, and then like there'll be like a giant like Homer Simpson. It's kind of cool. And let's see, let's just show you a couple more and then we'll call it a night. But Monday morning, we'll be back 9 a.m. Eastern time morning meeting. Shows next week, and we'll tell you next week about our holiday schedule. We're not going to be on every night. Noah, how are you liking the lights? Want to do a little more lights or tell everybody good night? All right, there's a big house up here. Let me just get up to the top of the hill. Show you a little more. They are gorgeous.
I have to pop Mark.
Yeah, I thought you were already gone. Okay. Yeah. Merry Christmas to you. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining. We'll close with some lights, maybe play some Mariah Carey. All right. So these are, you can see here the soldiers up there. This is like block after block of this. Thanks everybody for making time. We appreciate it. Again, thanks to Meghan and Lindy, and we'll see you Monday, 9 a.m.
Hi guys. Mark, you're the best. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.